Okay, so welcome back everyone. This is Mike Seitz, and I want to do a video today. For those of you who are taking the Part 107 exam, there are some questions that may be extremely difficult to understand, and even some concepts are difficult to understand. And I want to present this video in light of one of the members who have just recently joined as a member of this channel. And she asked a question of which I feel compelled to answer simply because of the fact that if it's something that is not understood, then I need to make that clarification so that way anyone who's having the same exact question will have the answer, because I've already answered that in the previous videos that I've been uploading. So this video is about latitude and longitude and how to find the degrees and the coordinates. This is a very tricky thing, although it seems simple to those of you who already do understand it. This is a very difficult topic or complicated concept to grasp because of the fact that we're talking about lines of latitude, degrees, minutes, half markers, and a whole bunch of other stuff here. I'm going to clarify all of this in this video now so you all understand exactly how to do this. I will give you 3 examples of actually finding coordinates and also placing coordinates at a certain location. And you'll have examples of this and different figures in the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement. I hope you have that with you because you're going to need that. But if you don't, then you can just simply watch the screen as I'm displaying the different figures on the sectional charts, so you will be able to follow along with the video also. But it is recommended that you have the Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement because this is what you're going to be using when you're actually taking the exam at the exam site. Okay, so let's get started on the video. First, I want you to please turn to, or just pay attention to the video, go to figure 21 in your Airman Knowledge Testing Supplement. And the reason I'm having you go there is because on the Part 107 exam, this figure number 21 is going to be on your Part 107 exam, and they will ask a specific question. And I have that question for you. If they don't ask the exact question, it will be a similar question. And I'm going to post this question up for you right now. It's giving you a set of degrees and coordinates by latitude and longitude. And your task is to find what is located at the coordinates that they're providing to you on the exam. We're going to do that here step by step, and I am going to take my time and explain this to you so you will not have any question. You can repeat this video over and over again if you want to, but the way that I'm going to explain this is going to give you exactly the information that you need, so you'll be able to do this with any map, any coordinates on any figure that they'll ask you. So here we go. Question: what airport is located approximately 47 degrees 40 minutes north latitude and 101 degrees 26 minutes west longitude? Figure 21. Now, before I take this question down, I want you to look at the question and understand what the question's actually giving you. They're giving you directions to a buried treasure. And I know that if this was $1 million in that buried treasure, you wouldn't have any problems reading this or understanding what it is that they're giving you, right? So here we go. Let me break this down for you so you know exactly what this means, this question. First, they're asking you to locate or find an airport. Now, this is a no-brainer because there's only a few airports on here, so you're going to have a 1 in 3 chance of getting this question right anyway, even if you didn't know how to find these coordinates. But the point is that you really need to know about these coordinates, because suppose that they left out in the question, they didn't put in what airport is located approximately. Then you would only have 47 degrees 40 minutes north latitude and 101 degrees 26 minutes west longitude. That would make the question a little bit more difficult, wouldn't it? But we're going to break it down for you so you only understand the coordinates. That's what I'm doing now. So forget about the fact that you see the word airport in there, because you have to think as though the word airport is not in there, so that way your mind is free to be able to focus only on the coordinates. So let's move the question down and focus on finding latitude 47 degrees. Now, if you look at the very top where I'm pointing to, I want you to tell me what I'm referring to when I'm pointing to that location. Is it 48 degrees? Is it 101 degrees? What am I pointing to? The reason I'm putting it that way is because I want to train your brain. Anytime you're trying to find a location for anything, you must always establish a point of reference. Where those two coordinates intersect, 101 degrees and 48 degrees, is a point of reference where they intersect, or a starting point for you to start finding the location for the coordinates provided in the question. And the question is asking you to find 47 degrees, right? We don't have a 47 degrees up there, do we? The only thing that you can see on this sectional chart is 48 degrees latitude. And of course you know that latitudinal lines or latitude lines run east and west. But I am not saying to you that they run east and west. That is very confusing. And everyone says that, but I'm going to articulate it correctly so you understand. Latitude lines will run east and west around the Earth, but they are referenced north and south from the equator, and the equator starts at 0 degrees latitude. Now, here's the juicy part that you'll only hear on this channel. How do you know that 48 degrees is either north or south of the equator? We're looking at 48 degrees right now, right? But where's the equator? Is the equator north of 48 degrees or is it south of 48 degrees? That is a very good question. So I'm going to tell you and show you exactly how you determine that immediately. Look at the question. The question says, right next to the word latitude, it says north. So that's automatically telling you that 48 degrees, or whatever it is that you're looking on this sectional chart in regard to latitude, it's already telling you that 48 degrees is north of the equator because it says it right in the coordinates. When you see that letter N, that means that whatever you're looking at on the sectional chart in relation to latitude means that it is north of the equator. Now, do you see how I just broke that down to you? If this letter was an S for south instead of N for north, that means that I would be looking at 48 degrees south of the equator, but it's not. It's the letter N. I know that I am at 48 degrees north of the equator. And now I'm going to answer the question that just popped into your head. Don't think I don't know. I was there too before. The question that you're asking is now, what about the minutes? What do they run? Do they run north or south? When I'm counting those tick marks, am I counting north or south? That letter N is always the indicator that you will be counting in that direction. So the trick here is to find 47 degrees and count 40 minutes north. Now we're looking for 47 degrees north, am I right? Because you see the letter N is there, that's telling you you need to find 47 degrees north. So where's 47 degrees north? Well, that's an easy one. It's to the south of 48 degrees. Since the equator is south of us at 0 degrees, then logically at 48 degrees where we are now, then if we go south, that will take us to 47 degrees. But wait a minute, Houston, we have a problem, because that latitude line that you're looking at that's south of 48 degrees is not another degree. That is not 47 degrees. That is a halfway mark at 30 degrees. Remember that all degrees are separated by 60 minutes. So if you count from where 48 degrees is and count down to the line that I'm pointing to, that would only equal 30 tick marks or 30 minutes. So that's the halfway point. And then you'll need another 30 minutes south to get to 47 degrees. Now, this is the part where you need to pay attention. I'm already below, I'm south at 47 degrees where I'm pointing to right now. But if I go back up to the 30-minute mark, that would put me at 47 degrees, 30 minutes north of the equator. So 47 degrees, 30 minutes north is what I would be at. And I need to get to 47 degrees, 40 minutes north. So all I need to do is simply count 10 up from the 30-minute mark, and that would put me at 47 degrees, 40 minutes north. Now, at this point, I intuitively know that this is where you're getting confused. You see, all this time, you've been looking at the latitude lines with these little tick marks on them, but those are not the tick marks that you should be counting. You should be only counting from north to south when it has to do with latitude lines. Latitude lines are referenced north or south of the equator, so you're counting those tick marks north from the 30-minute mark. And that's going to put you where I'm at right now at 40 minutes. And you should be at that mark also. I'm going to keep my arrow there for the remainder of this session, so that way you can see I know where my 40-minute mark is. I'm going to keep the arrow there. Now I'm going to start working on the next set of coordinates, which has to do with 101 degrees, 26 minutes west longitude. So immediately I'm looking for 101 degrees longitude, and I can see it there. And I know that the longitude lines, they run from north to south, but they are referenced from the prime meridian at 0 degrees from east to west. And do yourself a favor right now. All of the other little silly analogies that you've heard, like latitude is flatitude, or it's like the steps on a ladder, and the longitude is like the rails on a ladder, just take those things and discard them somewhere. They're poorly articulated in a way that will only confuse you. Not to mention that it makes it more difficult for me to actually explain in detail. So let's get back on track and recap. You already know where the latitude coordinate is pointing to. I have mine marked at that blue arrow at the very bottom at 40 minutes. Now our next objective is to go to 101 degrees, 26 minutes west longitude. Notice how I said west. There's a W there. If I go to that W and I change that W to east or E, you know what that means. It's going to be east of the prime meridian, right? In this case, it is a W. That means that it is west of the prime meridian. So all of the counting that we're going to be doing to get to 26 minutes west of 101 degrees, or 26 tick marks west of 101 degrees, is going to be done at the point of reference where we first started from in the beginning. So if I count 26 tick marks or 26 minutes to the west, this is where I will be. So now that you have those two coordinates, it's simple. Just move the bottom one over to the left, move the top one, drop it all the way down, and you'll find your airport. That's Garrison Airport. And that was the answer to the question. Now let's move to figure 22 so we can reverse the process so you have a reciprocal understanding of exactly what's happening when it's about latitude and longitude. So instead of us looking for an airport based on the coordinates that were given, let's go ahead and just pick an airport to determine what the coordinates should be. So randomly, let me go to Shoshone County Airport. I know it's a county because it has CO. The airport does not have a control tower because I'm looking at a magenta colored airport with the little tick marks around it. That means that there's fueling stations. It's Class G airspace at the surface going up to 1,200 feet AGL, and Class E airspace begins at 1,200 feet AGL. And no ATC authorization is required because this airport without a control tower will fly VFR, Visual Flight Rules for pilots. So that's my quick evaluation of this airport. Let me see now if I can determine what the coordinates are, latitude and longitude, for Shoshone County Airport. So remember the rules. First thing first, establish a point of reference. So the only thing that I can see that will give me a point of reference are the coordinates at the very top that says 48 degrees latitude. Now always start with latitude first, okay? And 116 degrees longitude. That's my point of reference. So let me recap. What are we trying to do again? Oh, we're trying to find the coordinates for Shoshone Airport. Now this is very interesting because the first one we were given the coordinates, and remember we had the letter N for the latitude line, so we knew that we were north of the equator and we should be counting north. Well, we're not given anything right now because we're the ones that's trying to determine what these coordinates are. Am I right? So how do we know that that's 48 degrees north of the equator, or if it's 48 degrees south of the equator? That's a good question again, isn't it? And before we determine that, let me give you something to keep in mind. If you are north of the equator, you will always be counting north. And if you are south of the equator, you'll always be counting south. Doesn't that make sense? And it's similar with the longitude lines also. Well, not similar, but it's exactly the same. If you are east of the prime meridian, you'll be counting east. And if you're west of the prime meridian, you'll be counting west. But the question here is, how do we determine what's north, south, east, or west based on the coordinates that you're looking at? You see, there are two 48 degrees on the Earth in regard to latitudes. One is south of the equator, and it's another 48 degrees that is north of the equator. How do we know where we are? Isn't that a great question? This is an incredibly crucial point that only few people would be able to articulate. And it's exactly the same thought process when we're thinking about 116 degrees. Is it east or west of the prime meridian? And what references can we establish to determine these factors? And this is where I instinctively know that I'm keeping you all engaged, because you all don't know this answer. Based on this sectional chart and the way that it is laid out and the limited information that it has, you don't know where you are because your frame of reference does not exist. What I'm harping on right now is the primary reason why people who are trying to figure out latitude and longitude cannot for the life of them grasp the concept. This is literally a mic drop moment for a high-level insight. And I'm going to drop the mic here right now. Boom. This is how you figure this out. Anytime that you're looking at a chart, it doesn't matter if it has north, south, east, or west references. It does not make a difference. When you're looking at a sectional chart or any chart that has latitude and longitude lines, the key rule is to understand that the lines or the tick marks or the minutes or whatever it is, or the degrees, if they are moving north on the chart that you're looking at, then the degrees will go higher. If you are moving south on the chart, then the degrees will be lower. So if I go down south on this chart, then the next degree that I'm going to be coming across will be 47 degrees. And that's how you make the distinction of where you are. And if we have the same relativity for lines of longitude, well, the more west that you go, well, those numbers will increase up to 180 degrees. And the more east that you go, the longitude degrees will decrease until you reach the prime meridian in Greenwich, England at 0 degrees. Now, here's what's going to seal the deal for you. This principal rule that I just mentioned in regard to east, west, north, or south, this only applies to when you're looking at a sectional chart or a map that is geographically illustrating the northern hemisphere only, that is above the equator. Then that rule applies. Remember, this is the FAA Part 107 Remote Pilot Certification Exam. They're only going to be asking you questions about what's in the northern hemisphere above the equator, the United States. So this rule that I just mentioned will apply to you, and that's what you have as a guide to follow. And since you all have so much knowledge at this moment, I don't need to go back to figure 22 to tell you how to find the coordinates for that airport. I know and trust that you can do that all by yourself. So let's move to the last one now, which is figure 26. And by the way, I hope that I'm doing my best for you to explain this information. I really do want you all to pass this Part 107 exam with flying colors. Let's go get them. So we're looking at figure 26, and I chose this sectional chart because I wanted you to have a good perspective and understanding about the distances in relation to longitude and also the distances in relation to latitude. Now, I want you to change your traditional way of thinking just for a moment. When I say distance, I'm not referring to miles or even nautical miles for that matter. I'm referring to the space between degrees as we go north and south and east and west. And I can thank one of my subscribers actually for inspiring this point of clarification. You see, whenever it is that you're moving either north or south in regard to lines of latitude, those distances will remain exactly the same. But when you are moving from east to west in between the lines of longitude, the distance between the longitudinal lines will become less and less. And this is very obvious because if you're looking at this figure right now, figure 26, you'll notice something. The tick marks or the minute marks that run from north to south to measure latitude will always be the same distance, but the longitudinal tick marks will always change depending on how far north or south we go. This is all due to the Earth being round, and those lines of longitude will intersect at the North Pole and the South Pole. And that is the reason why you cannot measure the lines of longitude exactly the same as you would measure the lines of latitude, which are consistent, lines of longitude are not consistent in regard to distance. That's all I have for this video. Listen, I hope that these study guides are really helping you all with your exams. Some of you have already passed those exams. Congratulations. Others have been telling me they're getting ready to take those exams, score high. I'm giving you a lot more information. Also, I'm posting quizzes on my posts so that way you'll be able to read those questions, answer those questions. It will prepare you for the exam like you would not believe. And for those of you who have been participating in the channel membership, it's only $6.99. Good deal, because I'm getting all of your questions answered in detail. The quizzes have members only on some of those difficult questions, and you'll be able to have the edge when you're taking that exam, because those questions will be very easy for you because I'm providing you with detailed information that you wouldn't get anywhere else. So I want to thank you all for supporting this channel. Your comments have been much appreciated. I've learned more than you know from the questions and the comments that you have been asking, and I will continue to keep putting up these videos so that way you can get the information that you need to pass this Part 107 exam. Part 11 of 12 is due to be uploaded next week, and you don't want to miss that one because it's sectional chart symbols. Let me rephrase: everything you need to know about every sectional chart symbol on that video. I got to get out of here and start working on that video, so this one's already done. Listen, shoot me a comment, hit that like, subscribe button, and I will see you on the next video.